For 20 years I lived in Vancouver, kind of going back and forth doing art in Alaska, and then my wife and I got hired on in Juneau, and then we got hired in Terrace, British Columbia to work on the language. Our language is critically endangered, and so she's teaching K through 12 language and culture, and I'm teaching the K through 12 art and culture. And so we're in a school called Naaksa Kelikeo, which is in my dad's village of Kitsimkalim, just outside of Terrace. But that's what I'm doing now. So. How's it going, son?
Pretty good. Looking for this.
And you playing down the dorsal fin too?
Yeah.
Good. Don't forget your center line. Okay. Oh, I see it.
Yeah, I have to go over it one more time.
I take a straight knife or your slow curve and start from the top and then just overlap your cuts. You could take it down a little bit. You see how this has got a nice little edge here? I like it at that angle, so even drawing that so it kind of has that nice slope back, eh? So Michael's making a human transforming into a killer whale. And that was something I was explaining to the students, that our belief is that when the animal kingdom goes from being out in the woods, like let's say a beaver, which is my crest, when they're out they look like a beaver, you recognize it as a beaver, and then when they go into their longhouse, their homes, their longhouses and their homes look very similar to ours, and when they go in they take off their jackets just like we do, and they become human. And then when they come out into the world, they put on their beaver coats and become beavers again. And so part of that belief, and that with that $100 term, anthropomorphic, giving human characteristics to animals, is something that my people have done since time immemorial. But we also do it when we come into the feast house. We'll put on our robes, we'll put on our vests, we'll put on a regalia. And so it's our belief that we're becoming those beings, we're becoming those clans, we're becoming the beaver or the killer whale. And so Michael's is showing how either a killer whale is transforming into a human or vice versa. But the killer whale is also a really important being too. One of the undersea chief who was a supernatural being, his name is Nagonox. And Nagonox was this powerful chief in the sea kingdom. And his favorite form was that of the killer whale. And so some of our people went to got lost and fell into a whirlpool and were able to, he rescued them basically, and they brought them to his house, and he started feasting and taught them to feast in potlatch. And they didn't realize they were gone for months and even a year, just feasting and potlatching and learning how to feast and potlatch from Nagonox. And then he brought them to the surface again, their canoes loaded with gifts to bring back to their people. And so that's where we learned to feast and potlatch, what we call feasting and potlatch now. And then so what I was taught too is that when you host a feast or a potlatch and you receive the skills, or what are called skills, the rings, the potlatch rings, what that is we're working on descending back into the source, which is Nagonox. So that those potlatch rings, the more you have, the deeper you can go into the water, and that pressure of hosting a feast or a potlatch is just like being in the water when you're in really deep. And so that those potlatch rings act as a snorkel to give you air and life as you're descending back down to Nagonox from all the feasting and potlatching that you do. So it's a pretty cool little mask he's making.
I'm excited about the future every day. I'm excited about this campaign because I believe the next governor will shape the next decade or more of where our state goes. I'd be honored to have your support and help in this campaign. Thank you all very much.
On behalf of our members from Yakutat to Ketchikan, Saxman, and Metlakatla, and supporting partners from Washington State, Canada, and beyond, thank you all for joining us.
Fifth team foul on Lewis and Clark.
Chris's shot is money.
He's got 5 points now, 15-12 K-High.
Now they get it over to Proust. Proust, picked up by Taylor, drives right. Kicks it over left side. Now they go over into the corner to Cleary. Cleary goes baseline, cut off by Marcus Lee. Gets his way somehow in there. McGilvery tried to tip it, but tipped over to Marcus Lee. Marcus, coast to coast, shot up and in, count it.
Marcus brought his A game tonight. Haven't seen him playing with that much Jets in a while.
Boy, Jake Taylor just hounding Proust down in the corner to Schofield. Schofield trying to get it down on the block to Gilroy, and he's up and in for 2.
17-14.
That's the first bucket of the second quarter by the Tigers. Jake Taylor up top as we tick down to 5 minutes to go here in the second. Now over to Kimball on the block, back up top to Marcus. Into Chris Lee, down low, reverse layup up and in for 2.
Chris Lee is catching fire, 19-14 K-High.
Chris has 7 in the quarter. Proust now gets it over to Schofield. Chris Lee almost had it. Schofield gets it down on the block. Shot up off the window by Cleary, no good. And
Guillory comes in and jams it home.
huge slam in there. Chris Lee, the other way.
He climbed the ladder.
The crowd loving it.
They're hydrating. They're hydrating for sure. Lots of water bottles out. Oh, I think there's some secret squirt guns in there, but I think they're smart enough to. Good thing we're holding electronics.
And then, of course, our friends from Station Ketchikan rolling down in front of City Hall. This has been a great time hanging out with our friends at KPUtv at the KPU Party Barge in front of City Hall, and lots of people dancing in the streets and everything else. But, you know, I've got to give a big shout out to the Coast Guard. In recent years, they have been extremely active in Ketchikan through volunteering and participating in various things. And that's all when they're not saving people.
Absolutely, and they bring their rescue boats to, you know, the
schools.
Da Vinci Night and different community events, so the kids can get on board and check things out. And it's always really great for them to see the programs and see, you know, they could have a future in the Coast Guard as well.
And another fly-by Island. Oh no, that's Taquan. That was Taquan doing the flyover.
There's 2 of them.
Yeah. Oh, so that must have been Taquan doing the flyover. How very cool is that? That's got to be the most over-the-top parade move ever.
Exactly.
Because you know
my goodness.
they had to have gotten special clearance for that. All right, Dance Mania with Studio Max doing a great little routine. Oh, it's the flotilla of Taquan Air. How cool is that? And here comes another one. Oh, with Top Gun.
I have never seen that one happen.
And here comes another one.
Oh my goodness, that is awesome.
Anne Freshley's piece, here modeled by Katie Widnes, represents that moment of destructive creation in a human female form, destroyer-creator.
on, come here, come here, come here. Oh, yep, come on there. Oh, snap. Go on there. Yep. Yep. You wanna grab the net? And let me move that. Woo! Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Ah. Woo! Oh, no, he's running. Ah! Try to loosen this thing up, but... Oh, snap. No. Ah! How do I loosen the drag up? Under the boat. Snap here. Hold on. Ah! Fight. He's running. Oh, snap. Woo!
Nice.
Yeah!
Nice.
Look at that!
Woo!
That is a good...
Really cheap. Damn it.
Tom, you're on camera.
Oh, I broke it.
Oh, it's broke?
Yeah, hit me in the head.
Oh, snap. Woo! Woo!
All right, so I'm excited. You were talking about not only is this in season, I know halibut is in season.
Yes.
And these guys can be like
Huge.
All right, so tell me about this one. It was caught locally?
Well, it was caught in Prince of Wales.
Okay.
So I have a fisherman in Prince of Wales, and it's the fishing vessel Zephyr.
Okay.
I've been buying from him for about 5 years now. And local guy is the mayor in Craig. He's
Oh,
a great
cool.
guy. Anyway, he takes care of his product. I only buy fish off the guys that I know, who I've fished around or understand how they take care of their product. Because it all starts on the boat, that quality. And then I can't fix something that's broke. This guy is amazing. I would love for you to have this for your ceviche today.
Oh, I'm gonna make some ceviche. I mean, this fish is amazing for ceviche, especially fresh. Real quick, poke, which one?
Poke?
Yeah.
If I was gonna do a poke, I would do the king salmon.
Awesome. Well, Trish, thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome.
And I will go make you some ceviche right now.
You gonna deliver?
Yes.
All right.
I'll deliver. Thank you. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
We're here at the Ward Cove Kitchen with Jen Brown from Foraged and Found, and she has brought us some delicious kelp salsas. So tell us a little bit about what we've got here in front of us.
So right here I have 4 different flavors of salsa, and the main ingredient across all of them is bull kelp, which is called Nereocystis. And it's a kelp that's found very prevalently in all of the area around the Tongas Narrows and the islands around Revelia-Gayto. And we have 4 flavors. Our first one here is a traditional salsa rojo. So that's just your traditional red salsa, probably a sort of mild to medium spice. The second one here is the fire roasted salsa, and this one's got a little bit more of a smoky heat to it. I would probably put that in the medium to spicy category. This is a salsa verde, so this base is tomatillos instead of tomatoes, which makes it green, which goes really nicely with the green kelp. And this one is probably the mildest of the ones that I have here. And then this last one, I got a little bit creative in the kitchen, and it's called a hot and sweet. It's got a little fruit, it's got a lot of peppers, and a lot of fun flavors that play around with it.
Awesome. So Bev and I need to find some to go with our halibut ceviche. So we're gonna try out a couple of these. This set, we'll try them all out, obviously, and decide what's gonna work best.
Well, I'm not in recovery. I've never experienced an addiction issue myself, so I think it's best that they talk about their own issues. But just generally, it takes a long time to get better. This is a serious addiction for a lot of people, and it's going to take multiple times for them to get clean and sober. I think everybody I've heard talk about this is they've been to treatment several times. They've been to prison multiple times. They've been to jail multiple times. So it's a long process. And I think a lot of people are wondering if they're going to go through with that. They're wondering if they're going to get treatment, and they're wondering if the community is going to accept them back into it. And that's why it's so important for these people to in the community that have experienced this to come and tell their stories, to say, I was there, I robbed this place, and I realized, it was just too much finally, and I turned myself in, and I got treatment, I got help, and look at me now, I'm back here in the community, I'm being successful. Because that gives people that are wondering that, have that question in their head, if I do seek treatment, am I ever going to be able to come back? Am I ever going to be able to be accepted back by my family and my community? It gives them an answer, and the answer is yes. There is hope there. So I think that's important.
So the only thing I have to say that has any value whatsoever is, when it comes to addiction, keep trying. Keep reaching out to people. Call AA, call anyone you know who's in recovery and ask for help. Call here, call KIC, keep trying. And there are people in recovery all over our community. You just don't necessarily know it. But treatment works. People do recover from substance use addiction.
If you need help, get it. It's out there. It's worth it. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Yeah, and just don't play the unique card, because there's a lot of different people in recovery, whether it's treatment or wherever. You can get help from churches and not ever have to step into a 12-step recovery meeting and everything. That just, if you surround yourself around people who are good for you and whatever, just don't try to be unique, like, oh, that's not for me, that's not for me. Like, if you really want it, you'll make that change happen. And there's a lot of people who have been through the same thing that you've been through and are willing to help.
I get comments from people from time to time in the community, and then I see things in the paper, and when it's your own kid, when it's your own husband, when it's your own wife, when it's your own mother that's there in the defense chair with the problem, people really tend to have a whole different view of the situation than when it's somebody else's problem and they're reading about it in the newspaper.
I remember in Car House once, we were talking about this, and somebody said, well, how do you know you're not ever going to use again? Can you say that you're never going to use any drugs after this? And I said, no, but what I can say is by the time I go to bed tonight, I will not use today. And it sounds so trite, so cliched, one day at a time, but that's really all we can promise ourselves. That's all we can do is one day, I won't use today. Tomorrow I'll worry about when I get out of bed tomorrow. I can only do today. And that's worked for 4 years.